thought you were kicking it. Kenny, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you jumping in and
No problem, lads.
being
Thanks
our
for having
first
me.
guest.
Super.
on
Cheers,
episode
lads.
1. Wanted to kick it off with a question. He's going to read out.
Yeah, so I was watching, obviously doing my research on you before you came in, and I was watching Kenny Egan back from Beijing. If you remember that being filmed,
on a CD.
I was watching it on YouTube.
It was a CD, was it? They don't even exist.
right back to way back when.
The CD player out.
Well,
I've done my research.
Nice one. Fair play. I'm impressed.
But I noticed I think it was in I can't remember the name of it, the high performance place, the national training facility, was it?
Yeah.
And you were talking about when they first opened up, you all got to pick a quote to put on the wall. And your quote was, accept your mistakes, but learn from them. And you said it meant a lot to you back then, reflecting on, I think it was Athens when you were trying to qualify for 2004 and some mistakes you made. Just wanted to ask, does that quote still mean a lot to you today? Or if you could replace it, what would you replace it with?
No, I live by that, and on a continuous basis, I'm still making mistakes. I'm still learning, and I'm open to mistakes because I want to continuously self-improve in anything I do.
Yeah.
I'm retired a long time, 10 years this year, so I've stepped away from boxing in the competitive sense of the word and delved into a bit of coaching, bit of fitness, and other stuff as well. But I'm always trying to better myself, I'll always listen to other people, see what angle they're coming at. Because the day you stop learning is the day you end up on a scrap heap, So it's important that you involve all the time in all aspects of your life. And I think I'm very open to that because, I thought I knew everything, but I only know I know nothing, I keep it that way. I'm always open to different interpretations of different things, so I always stay alert and I'm like a sponge, continuously trying to self-improve all the time.
They do say, isn't it? It's like the more you learn, the more you realise how little you know.
Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you actually, because obviously boxing's been a huge part of your life for a long time. Was there ever I think in the documentary actually you mentioned that you remember watching Mickey Crute win his gold medal,
right, yeah.
and that's when it kind of kicked in. Before that, was there any other sports that you kind of loved, or was it always just boxing?
I remember there was boxing in my family from an early age. The eldest brother, who was nearly 10 years older than me, boxed for Neilstown Boxing Club, so I would hear him coming in on a Friday and ask me man for subs. I didn't know what the subs meant. I was always queried, what's he talking about subs? Until the day I decided to go over to the club myself, and I heard all the other kids were paying their subs on a Friday, €2 or €3. But our club was a school hall for 20 years, 30 years, Neilstown Boxing Club. So we'd open up the gates, unlock the doors, set up the bags, hang them.
Yeah, you can see in the documentary,
setting
up the ring. Yeah.
Old school stuff, we had that St. Peter Apostle School for over 20 years, and 2 hours later we take all the stuff back down and leave it just as we found it. My first day walking into Neilstown Boxing Club, there was the primary school, animals painted all over the walls, and I thought I was going to a boxing club. I couldn't fathom this,
Look like the
there's a
films,
zebra, there's a giraffe, but it was an empty room. And then 20 minutes later, bags hanging from the rafters, boxing ring erected, all good to go. And there's a brown wooden box that used to get taken out of the store. And I remember you'd open it, was a big lock on it, but you'd open it up and you could smell the stale, sweaty leather gloves. Old school, you can smell it now, can't you?
Yeah.
And that was Neilstown Boxing Club. And if you weren't quick enough, you'd end up with a blue glove and a green glove. You had to get forced to get your glove. It was rough and ready. But it was a great club with loads of great coaches and great boxers in it, that's where I learned my trade, I suppose, from an early age. I had a great coach, Noel Humpson, who guided me right from the start. And he instilled the belief in me that there was talent there. I didn't really believe there was talent there for many, many years. I always questioned myself because I didn't have a great run at losing my first 3 All-Ireland finals.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking stuff, wanted to walk away from the sport, that was it. I had enough.
You mentioned, you thought about retiring.
Yeah.
Like 13
yeah,
or something.
like that's it. This is not for me. Like it's heartbreaking. Sport is it's tough. It is tough, especially young kids can't process a loss in front of your family and friends in a national stadium. Where you're supposed to be winning these things, but getting beaten, it's horrendous.
Especially in boxing, because at least in football, there's 10 other lads.
Yeah, you can blame someone else.
It's a lonely place in boxing.
Yeah, you can hide and stuff in different sports, and I've tried different sports. Tried a bit of football, it wasn't great to be honest with you. Still not great. Bit of basketball, bit of tennis, all those different sports. But I always came back to boxing because I felt kind of comfortable. I felt comfortable in a boxing gym. Yeah. And comfortable in a boxing ring. Yeah, but like I said, I wasn't very talented at the start. Yeah. Coordination wasn't great. But I started off boxing as an orthodox boxer because I'm right-handed. Yeah. And 2 or 3 years into it, my coach Noel said, would you just turn southpaw for a while and see what that's like?
Really, yeah?
Yeah, because I was better on my feet southpaw. So I'm a right-handed southpaw, which is quite rare.
Yeah,
so
I
just felt better on my feet. And, when people were fighting me then, thinking I was a southpaw, they thought my power shot was my left hand.
Yeah, the right.
But when they were getting hit with right hooks, they soon found out that the strong hand was my lead hand, and that I carried that right through my career. You know, my lead hand was very busy. It was my strong hand, and it worked out great for me.
That was just something the coach picked up on.
Yeah, he just said, try it one day, just give it a go. He'd seen it. That, you know, unorthodox. I was falling over a little bit. Coordination wasn't great. I remember, you know, this is how bad I was. Like starting off, you got an old leather mitts we're talking about with the smell off them. I used to roll it up and put it under my chin. Because I used to turn my head when I punched. Bad habit, turning my head around when I punched. I didn't like getting hit, didn't want it. You know, so you got the leather mitt, roll it up under my chin. Now keep that mitt under your chin and off we go. And that was it. It's crazy, isn't it? But it's great though, these little things that you pick up. And so that stopped me from turning my head.
Yeah, you learn fast.
Yeah. It's great.
Deadly. And when it came to like the actual getting into the ring and, you know, punching someone else or getting punched in the face, was that something that was you felt comfortable in from the start, or was there a period of kind of getting used to that?
Yeah, early days, you know, you're getting into a club, you're sparring your mates, they're all friends in the club, and you know, you're not really hitting clean, you're not, you know, you're throwing slaps and you're not really connecting hard. You wouldn't have much power when you're young, but when you start to grow that a little bit more and you need to get better coordination in your time and your distance and all those different things that come with improving in the sport, then you kind of get a feel for it then, you know. And I never liked getting hit. I know it's crazy to say that, you know, being in the sport I was in, but I didn't like getting punched clean. If I got clean, I'd be upset with myself for getting hit.
Okay, yeah.
And I'd question, why did I get hit with that shot? You know? And I'd make sure I wouldn't get hit with the same shot twice. You know, that kind of way. So I was a counter puncher right from the start. And I watched the old videos of me fighting out in Birmingham and Luton and all these little small villages around England in club shows. And I used to box on the back foot all the time, and I'd turn my opponents on the hook and never stay in the one spot. My mum always said I had a great pair of legs, you know, because I danced around the ring. And that got me out of trouble an awful lot. You know, I wasn't one of these guys that would stand toe to toe and just go and mix it up. That's not me. That's madman boxing, you know. And so I was on the feet all the time, and I became a great counter puncher. So setting up attacks and getting good feinting going and all, you know, but didn't really like getting hit for right from the start and right to the end. You know, in those big years, you're in a dressing room, wrapping your hands, and you're thinking to yourself, "What the hell am I doing this for?" I can imagine that nervous energy coming up in your stomach, and you're going, "I'm going out here to step into a ring and fight another man that wants to take my head off. Why am I doing this? Like, I could have picked up darts or pool or snooker." But I felt alive. You know what I mean?
Really?
Oh yeah, Jesus! Like, it's like you're going into a coliseum. You know, you're going in there now, and he wants to take your head off. I have to try and outthink him and outsmart him. And again, I wasn't the biggest puncher in my division, so I had to rely on my feinting, my plan of attack, my counter punching, my movement, my footwork. Some lads in the weight division were big diggers, you know, knockout artists. You get hit once, you're gone. So it was in my interest not to be getting hit at all. If I could throw a whole fight, and that's a hard thing to do, you know. So a lot of talk on into that.
No, for sure. And did you have any, just mentioned there, like getting warmed up and in your head you're like, oh Jesus, what am I doing now? Did you have any like superstitions or like rituals that you would do before a fight?
No, no superstitions at all, actually. You know, that's a good one. You know, like if I turned up odd socks, they'd go on. I've had a red bandage and a blue bandage. I'm a non-believer. Sorry about if I don't come across like that, like half atheist if you like, but I don't believe in anything, you know, in that sense. But you know, I just had a thought in my head, like I'm going to go out here and try and perform to the best I can, you know. And me and especially on the international stage, we travelled all over the world. Myself and Billy Walsh, he's from Wexford, the gas man, head coach. We'd have great crack in the dressing room, bit of slagging, bit of banter, and the whole lot. But then when the hands got wrapped, serious mode, you'd visualise who you're fighting. If you'd known him from the circuit, you'd picture how he's gonna start his fight, what you do to counteract his punching, all on the pads. 2 or 3 rounds of pads and I'm good to go. I don't like to overdo it, that type of stuff. So you're in, you're on, and then off you go. But there was always that bit of banter with me and Billy, where other boxers would be quite serious, but he knew the temperament and the personality of everyone. So that's how he operated, you know. He was a great man for knowing different personalities.
The individual sort of approach
so
for Kenny.
Some lad wouldn't want to talk, leave him alone. Whereas I liked a bit of slagging, a bit of banter, just the distraction. Until the pads, bit of pad work, focus out to the ring, and that was it, you know. Yeah.
I know we mentioned Mickey Crute earlier. Was there any other boxers you looked up to early on who you modelled?
You know what? Like, I never got totally consumed by boxing, watching it on TV or YouTube or any of this type of stuff. It just, you know, my eldest brother Willie boxed. He was Irish champion underage. He was involved in boxing, and he brought me over to the club. Went over with him, and that was just the start of it. I'm not going to say I'm a boxing fanatic. I'm not. I'm not a boxing fanatic. I don't. I'd be telling lies if I said that. I couldn't name off all the world champions and all this type of stuff. You know, I enjoyed the amateur boxing. I enjoyed the sport. I enjoyed what it gave to me, and watching other very good amateurs and how they'd box, the likes of Golovkin or Korobov, another Russian, or Makarenko, another Russian, all these type of really skilled boxers. Now, a lot of people would know these people because they only know the Mayweathers and the Hattons and all these type of stuff. But on the top class amateur boxing, there was lads that you'd watch and go, Jesus, I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
You know? But no, that was it. Like, so, and I didn't have stacks this high of old world champions and sit up till 4 a.m. watching videotapes. I wasn't that much into it, you know? But I enjoyed what I was doing. Going down to the club 3 nights a week. And it was fun at the start, you know, tipping away in the club environment, getting your weekends off and having a bit of crack. But never really did it get serious until, you know, mid-teens to late teens where you're winning Irish titles and they're knocking at the door for you to wear the Irish vest. Yeah. You know, that's nice. And you're going, Jesus, I must be good here. Again, that not fully believing in myself.
Yeah.
Irish vest, me, you know.
Bit of insecurity.
Like, am I that good? Yeah. Like, I don't think I'm that good, So that was always there. Like, the talent was there, but I didn't really believe how talented I was, you know. Yeah.
Do you think that kind of stood to you in a way? Like, it gave you had to prove yourself more?
I don't know, because, you know, I went to Wales in my first international at 16, and I
think that's actually in the documentary.
Yeah, I was boxing a guy. He was Jesus.
He came out fast
6 inches taller than me, you know. But I caught him with a couple of clean shots and stopped him in a round or whatever, you know. And I thought it was the bee's knees. I was a great bloke, you know. But at the time, a 16-year-old winning his first international bout, representing Ireland, it's amazing.
Oh yeah.
But looking back at it, the guy that I beat wasn't great. So what do you do with that?
Yeah.
My 41-year-old self sitting here going, I wasn't really that good. But back then, it was amazing.
Yeah, 100%.
You know yourself, as years go on, you kind of look at things and go, well, that was only all right, or this was great, or whatever, you know. So, but back then, that was the first international, a win, amazing, represent my country. This is super. But look, seeing the video, like you said there, you know, he was all right. What was his name? Justin Jones, was it? Could have been.
Right,
yeah. So
we'll be watching this now. We might.
Might be, yeah. But look, that's what it is. Yeah.
Totally. And so you were 16 the first time you represented Ireland.
Yeah.
And you were 26 when you went to the Olympics, is it?
Yeah.
So obviously those are kind of like pivotal years as like a young man. Like you're 18, you're 21st, graduating school, all that sort of stuff. Taking boxing so seriously, did you kind of have to miss out on those kind of big moments, or?
Well, I never had an 18, never had a 21st, you know. Didn't really bother me because I was born on the 7th of January. So the national seniors, especially, and all the Irish titles were in the February. So you were training right through Christmas, through January, and then you're getting ready for the seniors in the February. So I had no time to I never celebrate my birthday really because of how I fell on the 7th of January. So that didn't bother me, you know. I knew that the main objective was to get myself into shape, get my weight right, and be ready for the national seniors. I always wanted to be senior champion. My brother got to a few finals, got beaten. So when I was coming to the ranks winning, after me 3 losses, I went on to win 15 consecutive Irish titles, 10 of them being senior consecutive titles. No one else in the country has ever won 10 in a row in any sport. So I have my own record and 10 consecutive. 13 finals, got beaten in my last 3 by Joe Ward, obviously, but so 13 finals, but 10 consecutive wins. So, but you know, that first senior at 19, you know, I was the underdog, was only kind of raw enough going into it. Wasn't expected to win, but went out and won the title. And that was one of my best achievements. Put my foot on the ground and say, you know what, senior champion now. I'm the best in the country at my weight.
At that age as well.
Yeah, it was great. I was delighted with myself. And unfortunately, my coach, Noel Humpson, wasn't around to see it. He passed away the year previous. So that was unfortunate. That was tough to handle, but it was great to win that senior title for the club. We'd never won a title like that before, so I was the first one to win a senior title for Neilstown, and then to go on then and win 10 of them, you know, was
unbelievable.
Was a good one.
I know obviously Beijing is the big one, that, you know, the silver medal. Before Beijing, there was Athens in 2004, and I know that was one you tried to qualify for but didn't make it.
So I came onto the team, if you like, in 2001. I won my first senior title. So in amateur boxing, you have to be senior champion before you get selected for international duty.
Okay.
So that's a given, right? So won my senior title. All of a sudden then I'm on the team. You're getting the green vest, you're getting your tracksuit. And there was a few multi-nations on that year, and then the big one was the World Championships in Belfast, the Odyssey Arena. It's the first time Ireland held the World Championships. So I was part of the team. I'm on a World Championship team at 19 here. This is amazing. Went up there, got beaten in the last day, got beaten for a medal by a Cuban. Carl Froch won a bronze up there. David Hay won the silver.
No way.
Yeah, so that area, you know.
Good competition.
Yeah. So David Hay fought a Cuban, Solis, in the final. David Hay had the Cuban down in the first round. Cuban got back up and stopped David Hay in the second. You know, David Hay was a serious fighter back then. Like, serious puncher. Oh my God. Animal. We were in a training camp in Limerick a couple of weeks before the World Championship, but he came over. Carl Froch and all come over. I got cut sparring Carl Froch.
Oh, no
way.
Cut
over my eye. Yeah. Even back then, now he was a couple of years older than me, but I could feel his man strength.
Yeah. difference.
And we only done a round or something, but he gave me whatever punch it was. It was right hand, but and he cut me, so I had to get out of the ring. But didn't spar him for the rest of the camp. But I could feel his power.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine what he'd be like being in the ring with him for 12 rounds. You know, not quite brilliantly, not very technical, but a powerhouse. He'd break your heart, he would, more than anything else. So that was great sparring, but it was only short-lived. And then he went to the World Championships, won a bronze. He went pro straight away after it. And so did David Hay. So they didn't go to the Olympics in 2004. So they went pro straight off. They had different ambitions. So I was senior champion, went to the World Championships, got to the last 8. Things were looking good, you know, top 10 in the world, brilliant. Then 2002, 3 and 4. 2002, there wasn't much happening. 2003 was the start of the high performance.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really much happening as in guidance before the world high performance. There was a few coaches being brought in part-time to look after the team that was there. Then they'd go, then other coaches would come in. So there was no real strong structure or no familiar faces all the time, you know. So they wouldn't really know what level we were at, what fitness, what conditioning. That was just, we didn't have the funding for it.
Yeah.
So we were going away and getting beaten quite early in different competitions, not really getting any good medals. And then obviously the start of high performance then was when Irish boxing changed forever, you know. I remember being in the gym in the old gun room in the National Stadium where we used to train. We used to have one ring down the end of the room and loads of floor space. And you'd go in and you'd wait for your call to get into the spar because only one ring. So 3 or 4 lads in the ring at the time, so you'd be like a queue. Shocking stuff, you know, waiting there.
Waiting to get in the
trying
ring.
to stay warm, half warm to get in the spar. And it was a Saturday morning. And I remember Gary Keegan walked in, didn't know him from Adam. And he presented himself. I'm Gary Keegan. I'm the new director of the high performance. Never even heard of the word uttered in the gym.
Yeah.
I'm looking at other lads. Oh, high performance. What's he talking about? He said, I'm here to change Irish boxing forever. We were all senior champions here now, sparring probably the finalists all together. We're all together and we're all looking at each other. Just going to train full time, twice a day, 6 days a week. We're going to start mixing it with the best in the world. With a serious face, he said this now, a straight face even. We were all looking and going, here, who's this fella? Didn't know him from Adam.
Yeah.
I remember he drew an imaginary line across the floor with his foot. He says, if anyone's interested in this journey, step across the line. And I stepped across first because I knew I wanted change. We weren't winning that. We weren't great. We were all right. And other international countries seen us as, the Irish are great for about a round. Yeah. And they get tired and they get sloppy and they get beat, you know. So I stepped across, then the rest of us, another one. All of a sudden, the whole 15 or 16 stepped across. That was it. Lo and behold, I didn't know what this high performance entailed, you know. What was it going to be? I need change. And of course, they brought in Zora Antia from Georgia, Billy Walsh, our physiotherapist, doctors, the whole lot, strength and conditioning. And this was our camp now. We all came together as a unit. Now, the 15 lads there, good, strong team, a couple in different weights, with talent. And off we went, and they went out and got inflatable mattresses. We slept on the gym floor. With no money for accommodation or anything like that. This was rough and ready now. Senior champions on a floor.
Yeah, the best in the country.
I lived in Clondalkin, as you know, so I remember I had a big black suitcase. I used to bring it with me on a Tuesday morning on the bus, the 21A from me estate, up into Inchicore, jump off, get a 19 then from Inchicore up to the stadium. 2 buses. And 2 buses back on a Friday. But I had my case full to the brim of clothes for training. You're training twice a day.
I can imagine,
sweating, treading the gear, right? I'd bring it into the stadium, operate out a case for the week, twice a day, all the dirty wet gear back into the case, back in the buses home to the house. I'd leave it in front of my washing machine in my mum's house, right? Just park it there. And 2 days later, I'd come back and it's all clean and folded.
It's magic, isn't it?
I still can't understand that mystery. It still bamboozles me, you know. But that was my life for the first 8 or 9 months. And it was rough and ready. And those 15 bodies started dwindling.
Right, yeah.
Lads were pulling away. I have to go back to work. I'm not into the full-time training, you know. And all of a sudden, then there's about 4 or 5 of us. Now, the problem we had with the high performance was, a problem, but other countries didn't want to know us in relation to training camps and stuff because they knew about our culture and our behaviour. Yeah. And we weren't saints. We went across, we boxed, we went on the piss. That was the way it was, you know. And I'd seen that from older boxers I was part of teams with, so I followed suit.
Yeah.
But when Gary came in and it got serious and we got the structure right and everything was going well and the training was serious and Zor, Jesus, he never looked at his watch, you know. Right. Not about 3-minute rounds.
No chance.
No such thing. He'd go until you had your last breath. And Billy would have to tap on the shoulder. Zor, come on now. We're here 2 hours here, you know. But Zor just loves boxing, just loves it. So I remember Gary telling us he contacted the French to try and get in for a training camp. The French, no, we don't like the Irish. Irish a bit crazy.
Yeah,
No. So you can imagine the Irish lads just in limbo, not being able to mix with different teams, you know. And but Gary kept emailing, and finally the French director says, okay, we can have you over for a camp. Nice. So off we went over to lovely Intersport in France, about 5 or 6 of us. And we trained there for 2 weeks and we got our asses kicked. Different level. Their conditioning, their fitness, their attitude, the way they operated was brilliant, and we got better around the place. That was okay. We were learning though, you know. Mm-hmm. So we come back from there and we done a little bit of analysis, and we said, right, what do we need to do? Improve our fitness, our conditioning, our stamina, all that stuff, you know. And Zara was working on the technical side, making how to be a better boxer, each boxer individually. So I'd be a counter puncher, working on my skills. Paddy Barnes, a fighter, working on his skills, whatever, you know. So we went back to France then a couple of months later, and we were holding our own again. We were getting better, fitter, stronger, you know. And the French were kind of surprised. And then we went to Germany then. That was even better, you know. We were moving across Europe, getting invited to these places because we were behaving ourselves and training and competing well, you know. So it was good. And then they come up with the great idea, let's go to Moscow. Oh, yes. And I'm saying, why do you want to go there?
What's there?
Because I'd known the Russians were the best in the world at the time. Mid-2000s, 2005, 6, 7, 8. They were unstoppable, you know. And they could pick, they'd have 100 senior boxers. They could pick any 11. You know, frightening the depth they had, you know. So we decided to go to Russia in November of 2005, and it was freezing.
I can imagine winter in Russia.
Snow was up to your knees. Go into this training camp, and we're all going to bed. We landed that night quite late. Went to bed. Up the next morning, we all had to line out 7 o'clock in the morning, a big straight line in front of the coaches. The coaches had the book in front of them. They'd speak the lingo in the Russian. It's all translated to us, you know, what the session was going to be for the day. And I'm standing there listening to what they're saying, and then I heard Zara, and I just put my head out the line and looked up the line, and about 90 Russian boxers there. And there's only 5 or 6 of us. Like, oh, jeez, this is going to be a long 2 weeks. This here, long 2 weeks, and they're not very social, you know. They look like everyone just wants to kill you, you know. And they started training off. Obviously, went into the gym, and the gym was like 2 basketball courts, right, divided up into squares. So one basketball court would be divided up into 8 squares, with ropes. So they're the boxing rings. Okay, fantastic setup, light years ahead of us. And the canvas was like a mattress, real soft, so you couldn't dance around. Again, I said I was a counter puncher. I like to move. Not here. No moving over there. You stand your ground and you hope for the best. So every morning you're getting up and it's cold and you're going out for your walk at 7 o'clock. You're back, have your breakfast. Then your plan is you're going out sparring or your tech or whatever it is. Your technical tactics is supposed to be nice and easy, but they don't care. They bite the head off you. And it was just horrendous 2 weeks. But the learning from it was brilliant. You know, you're looking at these lads and they're all medalists, world medalists, Olympic medalists. And we see what they do, you know, and we're just robbing all the information from them. That's all you can do, you know, stroking all the data. And we were looking at a fantastic bit of that we kind of worked on was when we were sparring. They recorded all the sparring and stuff, you know. But when we were watching our sparring back in Dublin, it just shows you now the difference. So our sparring would consist of, you get in and you do your sparring, but we would make something happen or attack or do something every 5 to 7 to 8 seconds. So engage in an attack or something, right? 5 to 8 seconds. When we recorded the Russians, it was every 3 seconds.
Right. It's more active.
Exactly. So they were light years ahead of us. That's how busy they were. Now that could be feinting or feint attack or feint slip attack, but there was always something happening. Whereas we were sitting there waiting on something to happen. 8 seconds is a lifetime when you're in a fight for 4 2-minute rounds. You need to off the ball straight away, making stuff happen. So we took that, you know, that analysis and we put it into our own training. So we upped our tempo then. But when you up the tempo, what happens? You have to improve your conditioning, of course. So the whole thing was flipped on its head. We need to be operating at a higher level here, faster, for longer, you know. So that was great learning, just to see what they were doing, you know. And look, it was hard. The training camps are very hard. I wouldn't wish them on anyone. But great learning, coming back in the plane, you know. And I remember, God love Gary Keegan. He got the brainwave to buy all these weighted vests.
Oh yeah,
with the Russian flag was on the boy. Bringing these home, then we'll use these to go train and build us up and this type of stuff, you know. And we got to the airport, and what happened?
Bulletproof vest.
No, we was getting charged for weight.
Oh yeah.
Oh, don't talk to me. He tried to take the credit card out. I don't know what it cost. He never thought, you know, he's getting hit for extra weight. He must have had about 20 vests. Oh God, it was lesson learned, you know. But we brought them back and we used them.
And you got the medal in the end, so
What I loved about that, Kenny, is when you're in those situations and you see other people who are just better, right? There's like 1 or 2 ways you can take it. One is, fuck this, like these boys are just too good, I'm gonna pick up darts or something else. Or it's like, there's something I can learn from these boys, and if I take what they're doing and apply it to my craft, I can maybe reach their level, even surpass that level. And it was deadly. You took that approach. Was that general across the team, or was there some boys who, you know, did kind of see it as like, do you know what, I don't think I'll get there. I might just sack it up now.
Well, there was a couple of good lads on the team, you know. Andy Lee was there as well, and there was a few good lads. The other lads then, who probably wouldn't have won their senior title the following year, would just
fade away.
Fade away. So me being the 10-time senior champ, I was part of the team every year for 10 years. So I was doing all this travelling out of a suitcase for 10 years, a decade.
Some commitment. Yeah.
So I think I'm the longest reigning senior boxer that has gone around internationally. You know, once you lose your senior title, you kind of struggle to get back on the team. You're not getting selected for teams, and you're probably sent with the odd multinational, but you won't be getting your big ones, you know. So I was probably the busiest right throughout that decade from 2001 to 2010, 11. So a lot of travelling. But in Russia, you look out the window one morning and there was kids like, I don't know, 8 or 9 shadow boxing.
Yeah.
But you want to see their technique.
Perfect. Yeah.
Jesus. And I'm going, if I had learned what they're learning at their age, I could have been probably better.
Yeah.
But my boxing was good. I was a senior champion at the time, right? 2001 to 2003, before the high performance started. I was, you know, I thought I was a 8 out of 10. I said, you know, I thought it was decent, like, you know. But when Zor came in and he watched me boxing and sparring and stuff, you know, and I asked him, what do you think? You're 2 out of 10.
I seen you mention that in the talk.
I was saying, look at this fella, you know. Now, I could have took that 2 ways. First way, could have rebelled, says, you know what, you know nothing, get out of here. I'm not listening to you anymore, right? And done my own thing. But I didn't. I says, right, I'm a 2 out of 10. I said, make me an 8 out of 10. I'm open to here for this journey. Educate me, you know. And that's what happened. We just built up that connection then. He loved the crack as well, a little bit of slagging. He was a great man, and that was the start of our relationship then. That 2 out of 10 then, 5 years later, you know, working with him twice a day, 6 days a week, learning, repetition, you know, not a man for repetition. The same warm-up every morning, you know. But it was those small little things that you bring into your fight that would matter, you know. 100%. And then that 2 out of 10 then creeped up then to what I thought it would have been in around the Olympic year, would have been 8 out of 10, you know, with boxing well.
Would he agree with you, or
huh?
Would he have agreed with you that you're an 8 out of 10?
Well, jeez, I never asked him.
Afraid to see what you say.
Funny, he said that because after the Olympics, he said that he had a dream that I got to a final and I was fighting Arthur Beterbiev in the final. The two of us reached the final.
No way.
And I beat him in the final.
Right.
That was his dream of the Olympics, but Arthur got beaten early.
Yeah.
And I ended up with Zhang in the final, so his dream kind of was scuppered, you know. But even in that last training camp before Beijing, we went to Russia.
Okay.
Right? And I felt comfortable going to Russia this time. You know, we had been in Russia a few times before that, but he said, right, our pre-camp for the Olympic Games, we're going to Russia, out to Vladivostok, right? Little fishing island on the corner, 2-hour flight from Beijing. Right. So we went to Beijing first, left all our gear there, our suits, all our bits and bobs in the Olympic Village. The Olympic Village was empty. Nothing happened because we were early. Left all our gear in, and then we jumped back in a plane, flew back out to Vladivostok for 2 weeks. To train with Zor had a great connection with the Russian team, you see.
Yeah.
Great connection. So they invited us out. You have to get an invite.
Okay.
The Venezuelans were out there, they never got an invite and they weren't allowed into the camp. So they were doing their own training in Vladivostok.
Right.
No invite. So we were invited to train with the Russians, which is this is a great thing. And I remember on the last day of sparring, Zor had the brainwave. Kenny, you're sparring Beterbiev. I said, okay, that's fair enough. I said, right. And the same thing, the canvas nice and soft. We're running around the place. And we done 4 2-minute rounds, the same as the Olympic fight. And it was a really good, tough spar, you know. I remember at the end of the spar, there was no words exchanged. I just looked over at Zor and he gave me a wink and a nod of approval.
Right.
I said, Jesus, we're in business here. I'm in good shape.
That
was a good 4 rounds. We went out to Beijing then, got settled, and then off, and the rest is history, you know. So
absolutely.
the work was getting done. We were learning from 2003. Imagine being in Russia in 2008. That was 5 years. Being able to feel comfortable in the ring with a world champion, European champion, whatever else you'd had, any amount of medals. So that gave me a great boost myself, saying, you know what, I'm up here now.
Can hold your
Absolutely.
own.
Good things can happen here now if I keep me nerve. Yeah.
You said in one of your talks, or probably in multiple, but one I heard anyways, was you said that you won your Olympic medal in Athens and went to Beijing to collect it. What did you mean by that?
What I meant by that was I went to try and qualify for Athens 4 years previous, right? And I failed all 3 times because, to be honest with you, and I've said it publicly, I didn't really believe in myself. I wasn't committed to the cause. I was training and I was taking time off and I was messing and training and back and forth and didn't really deserve that spot, right? And I know athletes that train really, really hard and earn their place in Olympic Games, and you pat them on the back and say, you know what, nice one. I didn't.
Yeah.
So I failed the 3 attempts and it was heartbreaking, and I was going to retire again after that as well. That was it. The show was over. But, you know, with the belief in the system, the high performance, and all the people involved in the high performance, like the Gary Keegan, Billy Walsh, Zora Antia, John Cleary, who were there to make us better. Yeah. You know, they really wanted to see us prosper and shine and be the best we could be. to perform. It was all performance based. That's what Gary always said. Just go out and perform. Forget about results. Forget about outcomes. Forget about referees, judges, and that crap. Performance. So I trusted in the program, and if you think about it, it's a big risk, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to commit to 4 more years of your life, not knowing the outcome.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to qualify, but to say, you know what, my chips are in again here.
Yeah.
I believe in the system. I believe in the coaching. Let's go again. Let's give it one more go. And they say another 10,000 hours. You know, that's what they say, a 10,000 Olympic cycle. You know, and you're back on the plane. You're living out of that black suitcase again. You know, traveling the world, winning, losing, all sorts. With 4 more years going, right, what happens at the end of this? So after that those last qualifiers for Athens, I didn't go. I remember Billy Walsh contacted me. Now I was finished with boxing at this stage. I had enough of it. In 2004, he was going to a training camp with Andy Lee because he qualified. He was the only one that qualified for Athens 2004. Yeah. So he wanted me to go over to France to a training camp with him. I didn't want to go. No, sure, I'm not qualified. I'm not going anywhere. Look, come over, just keep him company. So he's on his own. So he says, right, I decided to go over. I remember travelling over with my black suitcase. We got the training camp done. I was doing a little bit of light training, a little bit of sparring, but he was doing all the hard work, you know, because he was getting ready. And we were leaving on the last day, 2 of us. I remember I was packing my case, throwing all my dirty training gear into it, and he was packing his Olympic bag with the 5 rings on it. All the fancy tracksuits. Everything had Olympic rings on it. It was gorgeous stuff. Gorgeous. And I was full of resentment going, look at him. I'm going back to Dublin. He's heading to Athens. You know, disgusted with myself. Just disgusted I didn't qualify. And so that was it. I was walking away to the sport after that little camp. But then, you know, getting back into the training then, meeting up with Gary and Billy and all again. No, let's give this one more go here. Let's do it right. So the high performance was only in operation 1 year before the Olympics came around. So there wasn't really that much of a gel. We were learning a bit from each other. So 4-year cycle then, you know. But that qualifier you're talking about, we went back to Athens to qualify. That last qualifier was in Athens. And I was fighting the German, Weiss, in the semi-final. Now, whoever won that fight was going to the Olympics. You just had to reach a final.
Straight shootout,
that qualifier,
goes,
right? Now, I won 2 fights before that. This was the qualifying fight.
Right.
He'd won 2 fights, qualifying fight. So this was all on the line here between the 2 of us. I'd sparred him 2 or 3 months before this in Germany. And it was a very close spar. Like, I couldn't say, you got to win this. This was 50-50. And that's what makes this fight so important and so memorable, because this changed my life forever. So we're in the ring. First round, I sit back in the stool. They give me the scores on a little screen in the corner. It was 2-2. Grand, right, sitting there, not panicking, right, good stuff. Back out again, boxing away. Sit back in the stool, 4-4. I think it was 4-4. It was level anyway, right? Run now rounds here. No real gap here, real tight, real cagey. Didn't want to make mistakes, either of us. Went out to the 3rd round. Off we went, and it's like time stood still. And all these thoughts come into my head. What if I don't qualify? I'll just be remembered as an 8-time senior champion. I want to be the Olympian. I need to be the Olympian. What am I going to do if I don't be the Olympian? What job will I do? All this crazy stuff. And it could have went on in my head for God knows how long. But it must have been just a split second, because the word stop came into my head. Stop. And I snapped back out of that little trance, and the first thing I thought of, just land the next score. Just 1 more point, just 1 point. Land that next score. And I landed a clean score. Then I made a miss and I scored again. Probably another shot. Then I sat in the stool. I was 3 or 4 points up going into the last round. Went out, boxed brilliant again, won a couple of fights, and then I went back to the corner. I knew I'd won the fight, but I went back out into the centre for the referee to raise my arm. And when he raised my arm and I dropped to my knees, that's where I won my medal. I just went to Beijing to collect it because I'd qualified. The monkey was off the back. I put so much pressure on myself to be the Olympian that nearly wiped me out again. You know? I just said, that's it now. I'm there now. That's it. Whatever happens out there, I don't care. I'm going to go out there now and box with a smile on my face. I have that tracksuit that Andy had. The 5 rings. I'm going to stick that on me now. I'm going to wear it with pride. I'm an Olympian. That's all it was. I just wanted to be the Olympian.
Yeah, and that came through in the documentary, to be fair. I feel like, obviously you wanted to win a medal and do well over there, but just getting there itself felt like it meant so much to you.
Even talking to here,
But we never even mentioned medals, right? No, not at all. We went out to Russia, like I said, trained away, and just performance. Gary was talking about, we do our analysis on our opponents, 1 round at a time, 1 fight at a time. And that's how we operate in the Olympics. I didn't know who we had to beat to win a medal. Whoever got first, Julius Jackson, right, Virgin Islands. I know him. I beat him a year previous quite easily. And I had him first. I said, this is a perfect fight to get me going. Went out, same thing, beat by 20 points or something, quite easy. So I was the first one in off the team to compete. They all went to the opening ceremony in the bird's nest.
Nice.
I couldn't go because I was waiting the next day. So I'm sitting there in a little telly in my apartment on my own watching the opening ceremony. They're all waving for flags and high-fiving Usain Bolt and all, you know. I'm at home on my own, right? I didn't mind that though, you know. So I went out first, won my first fight. I was captain of the team, so and going home then, I was the last one in the ring. I remember saying to, I think it was Marty Morris or Billy Walsh, I'd be the first man in, the last man out, and it worked out that way.
Yeah,
I was first in and last out, got to the final, but I got pulled in for testing, for drug testing after the final. So I'm in a booth, couldn't pass urine because I was dehydrated, drinking fluids. So I was going to be the flag bearer for the closing ceremony. Missed that as well because I was sitting there watching the closing ceremony on the screen. So there I am, you know, but I didn't care. I was sitting there with a medal in my back pocket. You know, well, I hadn't got the medal yet, but the ceremony was going to be, and you know, if people had said to me, if anyone had said to me, you know, if you were offered a silver medal at the start of the games, I would have took it with both hands. You know, we went out there to have fun, enjoy myself, the whole experience. You know, you're in a canteen with 5,000 people. Yeah, a canteen that seats 5,000. And you're meeting all these people that you see on TV, Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, Serena Williams and her sister, and you know all these people just wandering around. They're all doing the same thing, competing to try and win his best medal they can. You know, it's amazing. But yeah, like I said, so you offered me that medal at the start, I would have took it with both hands because I didn't know what way it was going to go. But just all of a sudden, I beat Julius Jackson, and then right, that was him out of the way. Who have I got next? That's all I cared about. Who have I got next? With an analysis on him, yeah, okay, he throws this, he does this, or he moves his head that way, or whatever it was. Grand. Couple of rounds in the pads, and off we went again, you know. And all of a sudden, then I found myself in the final.
Yeah, just step by step,
punch by punch, round by round.
Unbelievable. There's two things that you said that stuck out to me. Firstly, just a coincidence that when you said Gary Keegan came in at the high performance, and he's like, draw the line in the sand, let's call it, and say who's in, who's out, and you were the first one to step over the line. And then in Beijing, you were the first one to step into the ring as well. So it's a coincidence how that worked out. But more importantly, something that we have in the book, rule number 5, is focus on the process, not the outcomes. And there was like 3 distinct times there that you were like focusing on the process, not the outcomes, particularly in that qualifier in Athens against the Germans. Like, right, if you had stayed in that mind of like, oh, fuck, what if I don't qualify? What job will I do? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, in those situations, you're too focused on the outcome. Maybe you just throw a haymaker just to try land something that, you know, you do something that you shouldn't, that ends up pulling you back. But being able to pull yourself back into the moment and focus on, right, just the next thing. And then similarly with the fights, like who's the next fight? And then by magic, you end up in an Olympic final. It's like, nah, it's step by step.
But like, it's amazing that when you go back to that fight against the German, like my life could have been totally different. Like genuinely, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you boys. Genuinely, you know, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't have a story to tell. Yeah, like the story that I have to tell, you know. I wouldn't be going around now and speaking to companies about high performance or any of this stuff, or mental health or any of that stuff. So that fight against the German, that was, and I do a great talk, and it's called Defined by 2, right? Yeah. And it's based around the 2 minutes, right? Whereas in that 2 minutes, round 3, when it was level, I got up off the stool and walked in, and we fought, and time stood still. Those 2 minutes, I decided to make something, do something different. Yeah. That's it. Those 2 minutes, I opened my eyes, just score the next point, nothing else. Yeah. And I focused on that next job, and just wherever it was, the reactions, I scored the shot. And then I scored another shot clean. And I knew then, right, the tide is shifting here. Yeah. Stayed in the moment again, another shot. Back setting the stool, got me water, right, 1 more round to go. Didn't really concede many after that, just kept scoring. And all of a sudden then, that was it. That fight kind of changed everything. But the beauty of it, and I said earlier on, that the sweetest thing about that fight was, that was a 50-50 fight. Yeah. You know, now I know Olympic qualifiers are very, very hard, because I had a raw. Now don't forget, that was my 6th qualifier. Yeah, yeah. 3 for Athens, and that's the 3rd one for Beijing. So 6 attempts at Olympic Games. You know, so if I had to give up after Athens, remember, I could have walked away. Yeah. Right, but I didn't. I came back, gave it another go, and I failed the first 2 qualifiers. Underperformed a little bit, wasn't really right. But then to come back to the 6th time and get it over the line. It's not about doing things the hard way, you know. But when I got there, the pressure was off, like I said, and that was it then. Open season. Don't care who I have, just let's focus on the first fight. And that was it. Made me weight perfectly, kept an eye on everything. You know, all my family went to Beijing, apart from my mum. Right. So I went down to the village once or twice and met up with the lads, my brothers and all, just to disconnect from the madness inside the village and just chill out and have a bit of crack and a bit of banter. I was happy. And when I'm happy, Billy said it before, when Kenneth's happy, his boxing is unbelievable. Yeah. You know, I'm happy, I'm content, I'm smiling, I'm having a joke in the dressing room, and just everything just happens. I'm not overthinking stuff. Yeah. What punch should I throw? You know, just let it flow. Boom, and off it goes. Yeah. Just that natural reaction happens then, and all of a sudden you're hitting shots, you go, Jesus, how'd that happen? But that happened when you're on the floor with Zor. Repetition. It's in your brain, exactly. Just let it, just express it. Let it flow, and box with a smile on your face.
Yeah. What does it feel like looking back on it? Like, does it feel like it was yesterday, or does it feel like a lifetime ago?
Like, I remember, like, of course I remember the whole 2 or 3 weeks in the village and different things, you know. But you know, it was an amazing time. But it was only 2 weeks in my whole life, and like I don't not going to diss that, you know, but for whatever reason, I just boxed out of my skin for 2 weeks. You know, all my career, I've travelled all over the world, come through that airport with no medals.
Yeah.
Many a time. We're probably one man there with a little clipboard. Well, how'd you get on, lads? You know, for the local rag. Whereas you go back to Beijing with a medal, it's different gravy.
Yeah.
But just a performance-based attitude of one fight at a time, one round at a time. Like, you know, the scores, I was winning fights. The first fight was 22-2. So we won 20 points. Second fight was 10-2. Third fight was 8-2. Tony Jeffrey's fight was 10-2. So I'd only been hit 5 or 6 times in 4 rounds of boxing. That's 16 rounds of boxing. And then the final end I was beating 11-7. So not getting hit, you know. I was only behind Lomachenko, I think. He got the Val Barker Award.
Okay.
If I'd have won the medal right now, I'm not gonna say I'm anywhere near Lomachenko, Jesus. But I was up there behind him, you know, with performances. You know, if he wasn't in the Olympics, I probably could have sniffed it if I had won the final. But he's different gravy, obviously. But we were in training camps with him and Usyk, you know, and just to watch them operate, Jesus, like amazing.
The ballet classes from.
But even with Lomachenko, you know, we'd be sparring and we'd be rotating, and every time we'd rotate with a different fighter, he was always left on his own. Because no one wanted to spar him. And even bigger, heavier lads, like he'd be 60 kilo at the time. Lads 63, 67, wouldn't go near him. No. Because he'd hit very hard, you know.
I can imagine, yeah.
So people would be avoiding him, and he's there and he's looking around smiling at everyone, you know. It was brilliant. Usyk in the corner dancing, you know. He was at that all his life. That messing and dancing and having the crack, you know. So great to be part of those camps. Yeah, Ukraine and Russia and all, you know. So to see those type of things. But brilliant talent. Jesus, yeah.
Obviously Beijing happened, and then it went, and after Beijing then, I know obviously doing our research, things kind of went downhill in some ways, and obviously it was a difficult period of your life at that stage.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to shy away from, you know, alcohol was always part of my life, and you're probably saying, well, how did you drink?
Growing up throughout?
Yeah, how did you drink and compete at the same time? You know, the body can do fascinating things and can take some stick, you know. And I can vouch for that, because I would drink and get myself into the States. You know, I was a binge drinker. Loved letting the hair down. Now, I mean letting the hair down, my hair was down on the ground. Goldilocks. That's what I'm saying. Goldilocks wouldn't have a patch on me now at this stage. So train hard, party hard, drink hard, you know. Love the drink, and love the crack, love the banter, the slag, and all that stuff that goes with it. But, you know, I would stop it in time to get back into camp, to get trained, to get fit, to compete, you know. But am I going to say I was 100% committed to the cause of boxing? No, I wasn't a perfect athlete, far from it. Had many run-ins as early as 2002 with Billy Walsh. He was brought in, like I said to you, when the high performance wasn't there. He was brought in as a standing coach. We went to Poland, and we had a camp before we had a competition. And I remember I hurt my hand. I had a bit of a sore knuckle. Now, could I have fought? I probably could have fought.
Right.
But I decided, now I'm going to knock this on the head. I'm not fighting now, make my hand worse. And I decided not to fight. So myself and one of our teammates pondered down into the little Polish village and went on the beer. I told Billy, I'm not fighting, my hand's sore, you know. What was I being there? 20 at the time, you know. Young and silly, but went on the piss anyway. He was walking up past us at one stage, and I gave him a wave and all that. You know, he looked at me like I had 10 heads. And the opponent that was supposed to fight didn't know that I'd pulled out or whatever, so he turned up, he was getting ready in the dressing room. But I remember I went back to watch the boxing with a bit of a gill on me. And I'm walking by the dressing room, and Billy Walsh is in boots and boxing shorts. Going to step in for me. I don't even have a second look. And he says to one of the coaches, if I don't knock him out in the first round, fuck in the towel. And I'm laughing now at that, and I should be probably ashamed of, you know, not representing my country. And look, that was a silly mistake by me, but Billy Walsh stepping into me boots, and this man, he would have been in his 40s, mid to late 40s, getting in with this fella, and but don't knock him out, throw in the towel, you know. Billy's a gas man. And look, we clashed at times about that, you know, but we made up when the high performance started. But
what happened in that fight? Did he knock him out?
He didn't fight. No, he said, no, Billy, he says, I know you like boxing and I know you like a row, but you're taking the piss here, you know. Well, we do laugh at every time I say him. He loved boxing, you know. He didn't want to let the Polish down either, and I'll get in type of thing, you know. In the pair and a little black moustache and all on him, you know. It was hilarious, but I went at the piss. My hand was sore, but was it really sore? You know, I come back and I got sanctioned and fined and stuff like that, you know. So that wasn't great. Look, it wasn't great, but that's a funny one, all right. Jesus, Billy's a gas man. Yeah.
And actually, I wanted to ask you, because I'll ask a question first, and then I'll explain what way it's in. If you remember doing that documentary, The Back from Beijing, was drinking something you were doing regularly around that time? Because it didn't come across at all. Like, it seemed like you were very, you know, had your head screwed on, dialed in, leading by example. So you would have never thought that you were struggling with
Wow,
alcohol at that time?
like I'd watched it a while ago there, and you could see the rough head in me
Really? Yeah.
in the video, yeah, because that was made after Beijing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I'm not proud of the person I was after Beijing, you know. I come back to a hero's welcome. The whole country knew me.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't fathom that, you know. I'd been
Yeah,
travelling all over the world, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
winning medals, not winning medals, coming back to a half-empty airport, but this was different gravy.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realise the hype that was sprung up in those 2 weeks or 3 weeks back here. I'd ring my mum once a day. She was on her own back in Ireland while the rest of the family was in Beijing. God, Ken, it's getting a bit crazy. It's gone mad. It's gone mad. You wouldn't believe it. It's gone mad. And, you know, that was all. That was it. There was no FaceTime or any of this type of stuff. Just phone calls. And I just kept winning and ringing her. Oh, it's gone, Ken, it's madness. And my dad actually left early. He didn't stay for the final. He went home because there was too much happening in my man's house. Like, the media are great, you know, on one side, but then there was times where they'd come into the house and set up their tripods and their cameras for the right position. All this type of thing.
Yeah.
At 6:30 in the morning. And my mum was great, bringing them in, making a bit of breakfast and all this type of stuff. They all loved that. But then they'd leave that evening and they'd leave the tripods sellotaped to the wooden floor of the sitting room.
Oh, the next morning.
So my mum was watching Coronation Street through a tripod. You know, trying to, but that kind of invasive behaviour.
Yeah,
We're here now for the 2 weeks, like it or lump it.
Yeah.
You know, that's when my dad came home early. He didn't get to see the final live. He would come home. But it was just that intrusion, you know, and I experienced that when I came home then.
Yeah.
Got off that plane, things were different. People looked at me different. You know, spoke to me different. Like people that I'd known all my life pulling me for a photo. You know, I'd see you during the week for a pint. No, I want a photo now. Just crazy stuff that I couldn't fathom, I couldn't understand. And I struggled with that, you know. So that was one element of it, that immediate intrusion. Journalists wanting stories, you know, about his past, what was he like, any dirt, all this type of stuff, you know. And that was part of it, right? But then, for me then, to handle all of that and just to kind of push it to the side, I said to myself, well, I'm have to win the medal here. I'm going to let my hair down. Party time. Right? Now, I knew I had an issue with drinking long before I got into Alcoholics Anonymous in 2010. I knew I was drinking recklessly, binge drinking. Lads' holidays, you know, only probably went away there one time, there was 14 of it or something. Me and another lad were the only two to drink the 14 nights. Proud of that, you know. Real drinker, lads, you know, but couldn't get enough of it, right? So when I come back from the games, that was it. All bets are off. Hatchet time, party time. We deserve it. And I was a horrible person for those 2 years, letting people down. You know, telling loads of lies, just bullshitting. So there was the pressures of that immediate intrusion and just fame, just that whole. We're a small country, don't forget, you know.
Oh yeah.
And then, fast,
so just that drinking and allowed me then just disconnect, right? Leave that aside for I'll deal with that later. So I was just putting things away while I was drinking, but I was drinking too much, and then, you know, not being able to make big decisions. So there was promoters then talking, swimming around, you know, you're going pro, you're going to America, this, that, and
you could say that dilemma in the documentary really came true because it was like, is he going to stay amateur? Is he going to go?
There was all that talk, and when I come back from Beijing, I had no interest in touring professional. I was an amateur. I loved the sport through and through. I became a master at it from staying in the environment of amateur boxing all my life. Never were in pro gyms, none of that type of stuff. Like I said, I didn't know who the pro champions were. I had no interest in that side of it. I wasn't a boxing geek, if you like, you know. So when I started hearing about these promoters coming over and talking this and talking that, I kind of jumped on the bandwagon. Right, sure, we go over and see what they have to say. Sure, they're flying you out to New York. I went over with my coach and my brother. They spoiled us, wined us, dined us, steaks, dinners, the whole lot. They'd leave us then in the evening. We'd go on the piss. So a free trip to New York, and then I went to LA, same type of thing. But deep down, I hadn't got that full commitment to turn pro. And then you're hearing about, you know, you sign a contract and they have you for X amount of years. Then if you reach a certain point, they can extend the contract, all this type of stuff, you know. And I wasn't in the right mind back then. And people asked me, have I any regrets? Because I was offered lots of money. Lots of money from both sides of America. But do I have any regrets? And the guy who actually, his mother was Irish, from Limerick, I think, or Cork, or somewhere down south anyway. She emigrated, and his name was Joey Winters.
Okay.
And he had recently sold his company. He had a bin company in New York for 100 million. He sold it. This guy was only in his mid-40s. And he wanted to try and find an Irish superstar. He got my number, flew over, had a couple of talks. He flew us back out there, went to his mother's house on Long Island, wined and dined us for a couple of days, right? Talking about he wants to try and help Irish people. He wants to try and bring a superstar to it. And I was listening to all this, and he's talking about his company being sold for 100 million, all this type of thing, you know. And look, we'll give you whatever, we'll get you a good coach, blah blah blah. And I'm thinking, right, okay, listen to all what he had to say. And come back home then. I continued me drinking and all this type of stuff. And went to LA then in the meantime, another trip, another crazy drinking session, come back, you know, not really looking after myself. And then coming home trying to still compete as an amateur. I was still amateur, you know.
Yeah.
But then I remember Joey Winters come back over with the contracts. Right. I was kind of sitting on the fence going, you know, will I or won't I, will I or won't I? We met up in the Carlton Hotel at Liffey Valley. And he was sitting there all excited and the paper there was in front of me. And I had a solicitor with me the whole lot. But my guts were in tatters. You know, like I'm selling this fella a fraud. Yeah. I'm a fraud here. Like I have bigger issues here than signing a contract. And I was fearful of signing that contract, traveling to America or whatever I was going to do and set up base there and not be able to produce the goods because of my lifestyle. You know? So an awful lot of money being handed over. Like he was going to give me $1 million. Los Angeles promoters another $1 million or over $1 million, you know, so crazy stuff. I said to myself, I'm not ready for this. I was 26, but really I wasn't really a mature 26-year-old in that sense. And we were sitting there in the hotel, the Clarion I think it's called. I says, you know what, Joe, thanks but no thanks. And he was disgusted. You know, you serious? Yeah. Listen, thanks for being honest. Shook me hand and off he went back to America the next day. And that was it then. That was the end of Pro Talk. That was like in mid 2009, I'd say. I'd say, end of 2009. But my drink was getting out of hand. And like it was just carnage, total carnage. So I couldn't really make any decisions, you know. So that was the story about that. So that fell to the side. And people ask me, do you ever regret going pro? I said, I don't. Geez, what I have today, my God, I have peace of mind. I'm sober over 13 years. I have me health. I'm switched on. God, if I had to sign that contract, God knows where it'd be. You know,
that's the other side of it, isn't
like
it?
total like a journeyman, scrap heap type of making up. Oh God,
seeing that story.
Horrendous.
Yeah, because I saying, and did you want to ask a question there?
One more question around that time, because I noticed that there was, I'm not sure if it was in an article or an interview you'd done. You mentioned there was a tipping point, something, an experience you had with your ma. More, I think her name is it?
Yeah, my mum. Yeah, Jesus, she's me rock. She's an amazing woman. You know, it was like there was a few episodes I'd end up back in the house. I was still living at home after the Olympics, you know, and coming in the door drunk, falling over, cutting my head. I was in the bath, fell into the bath one night and cut my eye, and she's only 5 foot, trying to get me out of the bath and into the bed. And no parent should have to do that, you know. And that worry, the constant worry of her waiting on the guards to knock on the door. She said that to me 2 years after I got sober. Right. Always waiting. You know, that's an awful way to live. My brothers then kind of detached from me, wouldn't really social. We were very close, the 5 of us. We'd always have a few beers together now, but I just went on a different journey and different type of drinking. And they wouldn't even sit with you, that kind of way. You know, and but I was on the piss again one time, and I came home and I was lying in the bed, fully clothed, shaking like a leaf. You know, the usual withdrawals. My mum come up to the bedroom looking for me to go for a drive, and I didn't want to go anywhere. You know, my mum doesn't drive, so she wanted me to bring her somewhere and get out of bed anyway, all full of, you know, huffing. I want to stay in bed. Come on, she says, quick. So we went up the road. She goes, go left, go right, up the road. So I twigged we were going up to Newlands. Yeah, Newlands Garden Centre, or up to the graveyard up on top of Newlands.
Kingswood,
up past towards the square. There's a small graveyard up on the left there. So we're going up the Bellegarde. Kind of twig. We're going up there. So up we went. And I don't want to be going anywhere. I just want to be lying by myself, probably going off and trying to get a cure somewhere. Doing, you know, very vulnerable, very, very, very shaken. And got to the graveyard and we went in. It was starting to rain and it was horrible. It was cold. It was freezing. I can still feel the cold today. My mum comes in and she's on her knees. She buried 2 sons long before I came along. My eldest brother's twin and a brother older than me. Okay. Meningitis and cot death, 2 of them, right? So she's on her knees and she's pulling the weeds out. They're trying to make it look presentable. Yeah. And she had a little bag under her knees, keep her knees dry. And I'm standing there looking at her, you know, saying to myself, why the hell am I here? I should be in bed. Full of my own, you know, worries. So selfish. And she looked up and she says, Kenneth, if you don't stop drinking, you're going to end up here with the 2 lads. And, you know, how dare I bring my mum to do that? Yeah. Because of my behaviour. She was clutching at straws. This woman got an idea. Maybe I'll bring him up here and do this. This might change him.
It's like last ditch attempt sort of stuff.
You know, this kind of desperation to stop me from drinking. And I felt terrible for the rest of the day or whatever, back to the house. But I drank again after that. Of course I did, you know. And the other story then, you know, with that. But that seed was planted, you know. I wasn't doing the right thing here. This drinking was causing havoc. You know, it's a slow suicide. I was killing myself, slowly but surely. But I remember being in town then, you know, the other story I tell about Oliver St. John Goldie's. I'm on a high stool.
Yeah.
Love going to town during the day and going mad on the drink, stupid drinking. The phone rang in the bar and I picked it up. I don't know who today just rang me to tell me that Darren had died by suicide.
Yeah.
My teammate who won an Olympic medal with me in Beijing. And I could not fathom that for love nor money, because he was a perfectionist, a fighting machine who had his life planned out. Talk about me not me being in limbo. This guy had everything sorted.
Yeah.
Olympics, medal, pro, world champion. That
He was on a good run in the pros as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was winning a couple of fights, and he was found, and I couldn't believe this, because if anyone was going to die by suicide, it was me.
Yeah.
The behaviour, the drinking, the depression, the madness, the hangovers, all that stuff. And to see him, an idol, I looked up to him because he was just Mr. Perfect in everything he done. I struggled with that something fierce, but in my mind back then, the thought process in my head was, right, he's going to have to get brought back from England. The funeral's going to have to take place next week, some stage, or whatever, at the end of the week. So me drinking here today, we're not going to be called back into the high performance.
Right, yeah.
So that'll allow me to drink more.
Yeah. It's funny how the mind works, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're in those states.
That's me being totally honest here. Now I need to be honest saying that. I was thinking this bender's going to last me longer now. And it did. No questions asked. Oh, why is Kenneth drinking or not? This was perfect.
Yeah.
That's the horrible bastard I was back then, you know, thinking about me drinking, me session not being questioned. Perfect icing on the cake. Went to the funeral, met his dad, devastated, gave him a big hug, and he said, Kenneth, don't ever go professional. You know, lo and behold, was pressures put on Darren to fight on a certain fight when he had a bit of an eye injury.
Yeah.
Frank Maloney at the time was putting him under awful pressure, talking about taking away his salary and his money back and the rental car and their house, the apartment, the flat, whatever. So massive pressure put on them. But, you know, for someone to keep that to themselves and not share with their problems and all, you know, it's that's the outcome, you know. And it's so sad that he didn't pick up the phone to someone and reach out. It's only a sport at the end of the day, you know. He was a clever guy. He went back to school late in his life, done a leaving cert in his mid-20s, you know, because he had an education behind him, sports science, whatever it was. So boxing wasn't everything for him. I had nothing. I had nothing. I had boxing, that was it. And to come back to that, you know, that when that final bell rang for me in Beijing, I dropped to my knees. And the first thought that came into my head was, what the fuck do I do now? That was it. My journey was over. You know? I wanted to be Olympian. I got there, bell rang, that was it. I wanted to stay in that ring forever because I felt comfortable. You know, boxing is my safe space. The ring was my safe space. Then all of a sudden now, I have to start growing up now and start making big decisions.
Yeah.
Live in the real world. And I do say that sometimes. I was out in Abbottstown a couple of years ago, before the Rio Olympics. They had quite a young team. And the question I asked the young athletes was, the young boxers was, what does retirement look like to you? And they're all looking at me going, is this fella gone mad or what?
Yeah.
That question was never asked of me. What does retirement... Because you guys aren't all going to be Olympic medalists.
Yeah.
You won't all be world champions. You won't all make your money out of Olympics. You don't make money winning an Olympic medal either. So what do you want to do other than box? There's so many athletes there now in different sports, rugby, golf, that have a dual career, educating themselves while they compete.
Yeah.
You're only training 3 or 4 hours a day. You have to think of amalgamating two together. Your studies online or whatever, and your bit of training. So when you do make that transition, whether it's forced, whether you're out by injury, deselection, or you're just not good enough, you make that transition. Say, you know what? Okay, it's time to move on. Instead of holding on, fearful of not stepping outside that circle because you've nothing planned. You know, staying here for another year and see what happens. You know, this kind of thing. Prolonging the inevitable of stepping out into an abyss of nothing. And that's frightening when you're in your mid-20s or late 20s. I retired when I was 30. So I had a great run at it. 30 years of age, walking away from the sport. Now, I had 3 defeats in my last 3 seniors, but I went to Billy Walsh before my last senior final in the gym. We'd done a bit of pad work. I said, Billy, this is my last senior. Whatever happens, happens. I'm getting over it. He said, I'm here long enough. Kenneth, he says, you're probably right, he said, you know. I said, look, I'd love to come in here as a coach. I've learned so much from the high performance with Zor the last 10 years. I'd love to come in. Kenneth, he said, we'd love to have you in. We've no funding, but you come in as a volunteer. Right? And I'm 30 years of age.
Yeah.
A volunteer. Like, and I'm thinking, well, I can't walk into the bank with an Olympic medal and ask for a mortgage. They'd laugh you out the door. So shit got real for me fairly quick. I'm only a number. We're all only a number in any job we're in. You're underperforming, you get deselected, or you're misbehaving. Thanks, see it around, out you go. So that was a real kick in the arse for me now. And I kind of held loads of resentment towards the association. How dare they not give me a job when they're so long, blah, all that baby ass shit, you know. dry your eyes type of stuff.
Yeah.
But that was tough for me. But then I said, you know what? I'm going to step away from Billy. So we'll let the high performance. That's it now. I'm walking away from the sport. And I walked away from it after so many years. God knows how many years I was boxing at that stage. And I said, right, I need to get my shit together here. So I was sober 2 years when that happened.
Okay.
Good amount of sobriety under me. And I was in a good place. A friend of mine, Eric Donovan, who had done a diploma in addiction studies, was telling me about that. And he says, you know what, I've an interest in that now. I'm going to get down that road. And with that, I went down and I got into that, signed my name up and got stuck into an addiction studies course, 2 years diploma, working down in Coomera in a toy. So I was hands-on in the treatment centre working with people, and it was great. And that was the start of my journey into that mental health field, if you like.
Yeah.
Done an introduction into psychotherapy up in IICP down in Killinarden. And went on then to do a diploma or a degree up there. Sorry, I done the introduction there first. Sorry, then went to Galilee House in a toy. Then back up there then to do my degree.
Yeah.
And you know, I never thought in a million years that I'd have the head for a degree because I didn't like school, didn't like teachers, didn't like authority, didn't like any of that.
Yeah.
But when you're staring reality in the face, you have to make big decisions. You have to step outside your comfort zone. You know, I was comfortable in a boxing ring. Leave me there forever. Yeah. Leave me talking about boxing or coaching. I'm grand.
Yeah.
But I needed to do something else. And with that then stepping out and learning about addiction and why addiction and, you know, different environments and how people behave and all that type of thing fascinated me.
Yeah.
So I got immersed in that. Went on to do a diploma and the degree. And that was a great achievement. And my mum always said, you know, your medal's great, Kenneth, son. Call me son. Your medal's wonderful, son. But your sobriety is your number one achievement. And she's right. You know, medal, like I said, 2 weeks in August, I boxed out my skin, I won a medal. Fantastic, great news. When I'm 90 years of age, I'd pull it out from underneath the drawer and I show my great grandkids and tell them a story about Beijing. But what I appreciate more now is that I can get up in the bed in the morning and there's two things I do every day. I put my 2 feet in the ground and I tell myself I'm a good person. Because I am a good person. I'm not going out to harm anybody or deceive anyone or tell lies or bullshit or be unfaithful, any of that stuff. I go out and get on with my day, help whoever I can, do whatever I can, make a few pounds as you do, and then at night time I go to bed, I say thank you for the gratitude I have for what I have today. On a daily basis I do that every day because all we have is today, and that's how I stay sober, one day at a time. So I'm a good person and I say thank you at night to myself. That's it. That's how I live my life.
So like a day in the life of Kenny, 25 years old, was double training sessions, bursting his bollocks in the gym. What does a day in the life of Kenny Egan look like nowadays?
You know what? Like I said, it's fascinating. If you had said to me 20 years ago I'd be in the mental health field, I would have laughed at you. If you had told me I'd be on an Olympic podium, I would have laughed at you as well. So we never know where our journey's going to take us. Now, where'll I be in another 10 years' time? I don't know. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, you know. I'm quite settled down myself. I'm happy enough with the stuff I'm doing at the minute, you know. Doing a bit of training in UFG, doing a bit of coaching with the classes, you know, trying to share some of the stuff that I've learned over the years. And it's a nice little way to do the boxing session, you know. It's not too taxing. There's no full contact. It's nice. I like that, you know. I like normal Joe Soaps to learn a little bit of boxing. That's the beauty of it. Doing me a little bit of therapy as well then in the Clondalkin village and summer psychotherapy. So staying connected to that as well, you know. And on the local council as well, trying to help out as best I can. That's hard graft because it's a thankless old game, you know.
I can imagine,
you can't keep everybody happy. No. But I've learned that, you know, that's part of that business. And look, I still enjoy doing it. But, you know, I'm fingering a few pies. I'm out in Oberstown now in the prison working with the young lads as well. So I find that very rewarding as well, you know. Yeah, you know, people think when they hear the word Oberstown, detention centre for kids, lock them up and throw away the key. When you're in there and you're spending time with them and you're talking to them and you're bonding with them, you know, they're troubled kids. They're troubled. They hadn't had a chance right from the start. Now, some of them are in there for horrendous crimes. I understand that. But there is potential for change in the right environment, you know. And I go in there on a Friday, teach them the basics of boxing, bit of pad work, that instill that bit of discipline in them, you know. And you know, if they mess around throughout the week, they're not allowed to do the boxing, you know. So there's that little incentive. Behave yourself. You can come down, you do a bit of boxing. Any messing, and it gets taken away from you. And they all love a bit of boxing. A lot of them have a lot of boxing background, you know. So they'd come in and they love me teaching a bit of boxing on the Friday. So that's rewarding for me, you know, because a couple of lads that were let out there recently had done their time and they're different people altogether. I'm there nearly 2 years now. It's just amazing to see the transformation when you give them the little bit of time, the little bit of attention, the little bit of eye contact, that they feel that they're being heard, you know. It's not about pointing fingers, you're this, you're that, you're the other, you know. That's what they're used to. But when you give them a bit of time and show them a bit of compassion, that's when good things happen, you know.
Absolutely. your story is unbelievable. Like the transformation that I'm sure there's so many people who watch this and can resonate with that sort of, hopefully they can resonate with the full story of coming out the other side of it. But for you to see how you've turned it all around and are now giving back, like using the downtimes, let's say you might have experienced, to go back and help people who are maybe going through something similar, whether it's the kids in Oberstown or other people through therapy. Like, I think that's the only way you can make struggle meaningful in life, and that's the only way you can really use it to be almost like an alchemist, to take that difficulty and struggle you went through and then use it for good in the future moving forward, help the next person back. So just massive respect.
But like, and I do often think, and I've said this to myself, like when I was 2 years sober and I started my diploma and all that type of stuff, I had this vision that if I had kept drinking, right, from 2008 right through, right, 10 years later, so 2018 maybe, I could picture myself, I could really visualise myself sitting in my local pub, Boomers, right, up on the bar. There's a lovely photo of me in the corner of the pub, right, with the medal. But I could picture myself sitting at the bar, nudging some young lad, some teenager, 18, 19-year-old. See that fella there? That's me. Any chance you can buy me a pint?
Yeah.
Now that frightens the bejesus out of me, because that's where I was going. Imagine that, still living in my man's front room, tormenting her week in, week out, sitting there, going to the pub, spending whatever money you had, and asking some young lads to buy you a drink because you were famous.
Once upon a time.
That's frightening. Now, on the same note, I do think of drinking sometimes. You know, it's there. That little devil's on the shoulder every now and again. He sticks his head up, you know. Could have a good day or a bad day. It doesn't matter. But I fast forward 10 days from my first drink. Right, that point of Guinness goes down the neck. I fast forward 10 days and I see what's there.
Yeah.
And it's me down in some crazy pub down the arsehole of Kerry with a wad of €50 notes that size. High five of some 95-year-old out there, tell them some dirty joke.
Yeah.
And I smell a piss out my jeans.
Yeah. It's not worth it, though, when you put it like that.
You can laugh at it,
experience,
but that's as true as Jesus. That's where I'm at, you know. So I fast forward 10 days in that first drink, and I just like, no, this is the no-go.
Yeah. I don't like
But I have the awareness, you see, now to do that.
Yes, yeah.
And with good awareness gives you the power to choose.
Yeah.
So that's not for kind of mad thought and all that. Thanks, but no thanks. I respect alcohol. I'm not against it. People can go out and enjoy their few points. But for me, I have an allergy. Once I start, I don't stop. And some people have said, you liked your few points, but you weren't that bad. That's fine for them to say that.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm not going to believe their
story,
output. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm quite content with what I have now. You know, I'm quite happy enough now, and I'll leave it at that. So I'm not going to take that risk of having 3 or 4 quiet points on a Sunday and see where that takes me.
Yeah.
I don't want to take the risk. I've so much built up now. I have a house now, my wife, I have a child who has never seen me drinking.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sober 13 years. She's only 8. She's 8 this Saturday.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Never seen any of that. So she doesn't know that person, you know, which is great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's powerful.
Yeah. How has that changed you, having a daughter? Has it?
Different love altogether, you know.
Yeah.
Softened you a
I
bit.
love my wife and all that, but this is different kettle of fish,
yeah.
and vice versa. You know, as she say the same, but it's an amazing thing to be able to bring something into the world that you can love so much, you know. And you see little bits of yourself in her, you know, and you're thinking, oh no. But the crack is great. She's a great kid, you know, and Jesus, she's great, you know. It's her birthday this Saturday. She's 8.
Oh, happy birthday.
She's light years ahead of herself, you know. Bosses me around, of course. I don't mind. I ruin her, spoil her. But it's a different type of love. It gives meaning then to living again, you know. We were saying only recently, what would it be like if the house if we didn't have her?
Yeah.
I said, Jesus,
Don't
don't even mention that. So it just shows the power of another human being, you know, and in the mix. But it's great. It is. It's great. She's a great kid, and like I was with that girl before the Olympics.
Okay.
Karen, yeah. So I kind of treat her really, really bad. I was a bastard, in her words. I was a bastard, horrible bastard. And I went off and went drinking and acting a maggot for the 2 years. And she was reading bits and papers and all. Half it was bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
But I was a horrible person. And I treat her really bad. And 5 years later, when I got sober and I was back in the headspace, somehow I got her number and I sent her a text to meet up. And she texted back, fuck off. That was fair enough. And I sent her another text, look, I just wanted to meet up with you and apologise and all this type of stuff. So she met up again in her face. That was very strange meeting her for so long. So. Awkward, and sat and had a chat and the whole lot, and you know, whatever happened then, we just started to make that connection again, and she never moved on, you know, and rekindled that relationship and building back up that trust again and all those things, you know. And a couple of years later we had our little Kate, you know, got married, now live together.
Yeah, it's mad,
So
isn't
big
it?
message there.
Story,
Good things happen to
yeah.
good people. I am a good person. You know, that person back then was different. I was wearing masks. I was
Yeah.
living a lie, a total lie. Whereas now, you are what you see. You know what I mean? You know yourself. I'm in that gym with just a normal Joe soap, no airs and grace about me. Just one of the lads. I don't look down on anybody because of an Olympic medal. Like I said to you, medals are great and it's a wonderful achievement. But being sober and being at that human level, and I see it every time I'm in the therapy room. You know, sitting there with someone, making eye contact for 50 minutes, an hour, and listen to what's going on. Actively listen.
Yeah.
Eye contact is powerful. And they say it's like that. There's a third person in the room when that magic happens, where someone opens up.
Yeah, that connection.
It's great. Yeah, Jesus. So that's what's important to me now. You know, that's just everyday stuff is important, and that itself is amazing. So yeah, we got back together, had the child, the house, and that's it. You know, it's gas. Yeah,
Persistence pays off.
yeah. But if I hadn't picked up that phone,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
there you go. So it's
Big time.
those actions. You know, yeah.
So that was beautiful. Do you have any last questions?
Nice.
I wanted to ask who's going to play Kenny in his documentary and then make a movie about it. We'll hold
Well, it's between either you.
Southpaws.
Yeah.
But given you're in the boxing scene, obviously a boxing man, we were chatting before talking about like Irish athletes, Irish boxers who are in there at the moment on the amateur scene. Is there anyone who you're watching for coming into the next Olympics now?
Yeah, look, we've a few qualified already. I was only out with Kelly there the weekend doing a 5k, sanctuary run 5k, which was great, and Kelly was there. Now she wasn't running it, she was walking it. She has a bit of an issue with her Achilles, I think. She was taking it easy, but like, look at her, like, with a gold medal in Tokyo, and now she's going to defend her title. Jesus, the stuff of dreams. An amazing athlete as well. You know, that was in the shadow for a long time.
Yes.
Katie Taylor,
Yeah,
not really getting a look in, but she stuck through it. Excuse me, she could have walked away from it. No, the sport is not for me. I'm not getting any treatment here. So, but she stuck with it, turned up, and now she's the number one 60 kilo fighter in the country. You know, and going to defend her title. My God, that's unheard of. You know, that's Lomachenko stuff. Yeah. So she'd be one to look out for. Amy Broadhurst, another one there, 66 kilos. Cassidy's good, 80 kilo from Waterford, Irish guy, very good. You know, the elites are on this November.
Okay.
In the National Stadium, so the winners of those elites will be selected to go forward for the qualifiers in the new year.
Okay.
So these are big. This is the first step towards the Olympic Games. Yeah. So whoever wins these will get selected to go to the qualifiers. So I think we've 5 qualified already, which is great. So if you get another 3 or 4 on the plane, we'll have a great chance to have a medal hall. You know,
Andy Lee on his Todd.
That's right. That's right. We started and we qualified 5 after that.
Yeah.
Then I think there was 6 or 7 after that in London. You know, so
it was 3 medals the year you went, wasn't it?
Yeah, silver and 2 bronze. Yeah. And then there was 4 or 5 medals in London. So, you know, Rio was a bit of a flop. Yeah. And then we pulled it back then in Tokyo, you know. Yeah. So, look, it comes around and roundabouts, you know, performance. It's the same in all sports. Things get stale. They need a bit of freshen up. But the coaches are great there. Zora's brilliant.
Is he still around, Zora?
He's still there, yeah. Now, he's getting old now, in fairness. They won't mind me saying that. Like, everyone gets old, but I just hope there's people in there that can carry the mantle, you know. And maybe it's something I could look at in a couple of years' time when I'm more settled and looking back at the national squad, trying to get in there as a coach. I'd love to give back, you know, even at junior level. But we'll see. That's down the road.
Better man,
I have to say, even in the classes that you'd put on in UFC, like, you can tell that you love coaching and you love boxing.
Yeah.
You get a lot of energy from it.
Yeah. And I like the technical side of it, you know. When I give me instructions, I kind of explain.
Yeah,
and that's good to know, you know what I mean? So why you're doing what you're doing. Not just hit the bag or hit the pad. Yeah.
How you deploy it in
exactly,
scenario,
and how it works and why it works, you know. And that's because I love hitting and not getting hit.
Yeah.
You know, like I was boxing for 25 years and I looked like a male model. You know that kind of way? I know you're going to say that anyway, but I said it first. No, I'm slagging, but you know, like I didn't like to get hit, so why would you stand there toe to toe and, you know, take so many shots? That wasn't my saying, so I like to bring that technical edge to it. That's, you see that in the classes, so yeah, it's all good crack, yeah.
Wrap it up with the closing tradition.
Yeah, so this is obviously the first episode of our podcast, but something we want to bring into the following episodes is I want each guest to end with a question, and then we're going to ask that question at the beginning of the next episode. So I would like you to put forward a question. It can be about anything life, maybe not boxing because I don't think he's into boxing. Yeah. But like, what's one question that you think is important for somebody to consider at any point in life, and then we'll ask it to the next guest when they come in.
Good one. That's a good one. Yeah. What question I'd ask the next presenter?
Yeah, you're leaving a question here that we're going to ask the next person.
Right. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? A vision, exactly. Always good to see that. You know, have you got a plan?
Yeah.
Have you got an idea? Have you got a structure? Because you're not going to be the same person in 5 years. You know, what does that 5 years time look like to you? You know,
Absolutely, yeah. Long team.
Rule number 1.
Yeah, there we go.
First rule in the book, vision.
Yeah. Well,
That's
Kenny,
something you're
thank
in
you
there.
so much for your time.
good stuff, lads. Thanks for having me. Good
amazing,
stuff.
yeah.
Nice one, yeah.
Unbelievable, yeah, appreciate
Hope this
it.
comes across. What he's going to do his magic this fella here, is he?
Yeah, Dave will work his
Fill in the
magic,
left
don't
there,
worry.
yeah.
Make us look
Nice,
nice.
handsome.
Yeah.
Pressure's on.
But yeah, Kenny, for being honest, I know.
No, lads,
obviously
thanks for having me on. First
come
one on.
around through
Jesus.
this.
Pleasure. Look. Good
Clondalkin,
Clondalkin, man. Stick
Yeah.
together, boys. Up in Clondalkin.
But thanks for sharing so much value in this. For I'm sure will help so many people who are going through different phases of life, and you're a shining example of. I know in the Olympics, like the opening ceremony, the captain tends to, or there's someone who carries the torch, and see you metaphorically carrying the torch now after all you've been through. And
Once an
bringing that
Olympian,
message
always an
forward,
Olympian.
you know.
That's it.
So
That's it.
Thank you for coming on and being open, and appreciate it.
Super, lads. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. Pleasure.
All good, Dad? Perfect.
Happy days.